Hi everyone, welcome to Miss Adams Teaches Macbeth Act 1 Scene 5. So we're going to start with a quick plot summary. First off, Lady Macbeth is alone in Castle Dunsinane awaiting the return of her husband, but in the meantime he has written her a letter which she is reading out loud to herself. In this letter, Macbeth tells her everything about the battle, but most importantly about the witches and what they said. So he's putting a lot of trust in his wife, and the letter is full of loving terms. He calls her his dearest partner of greatness, and then he confides all of these very kind of dangerous thoughts. So this scene is establishing straight away that they've got a really strong relationship and there's a lot of love and trust between them. So Lady Macbeth immediately starts thinking about not just the content of the letter, but their future. And she basically goes, right, this is it. You are going to become king, Macbeth. So she decides that she is going to help him reach this kind of pinnacle of status and become king. But she does worry about whether or not he has the sort of qualities needed to get the job done. Not about being a king, about what he needs to do to get there, she wonders. She then finds out that Duncan is coming to the castle that night. A messenger arrives and says, the king's on his way. And immediately her thoughts go to a dark, sinister place. And we have some lovely imagery of the raven, basically suggesting that Duncan's not going to last the night. So she is plotting the death from the moment she hears his name. In order to do this, though, Lady Macbeth then calls upon these, I suppose, spirits, these dark spirits, to help her get the job done. And we'll look at this in a little bit more detail, but she basically calls upon these spirits to take away all of her femininity and give her the kind of strength that she's going to need in order to get the job done. She calls upon the night to kind of envelop her in darkness, so very similar imagery to the imagery that Macbeth used in just the previous scene. Again, showing their sort of unity and their equality and their similarities. Macbeth arrives back at the castle and they have a speedy conversation about how the events are going to come about, and Lady Macbeth is very much in charge. So that's Act 1, Scene 5 in a nutshell. Let's now get cracking with a little bit of analysis. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to think about here is what Lady Macbeth reveals about Macbeth. So this is still in the section where she's on her own. She's just read the letter. She says, "Yet I do fear thy nature. It is too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest way." So this metaphor is really powerful because it's telling us that Macbeth is actually very, very kind and very, very nurturing. We have this imagery of the milk of human kindness, which, yeah, like I said, is very, very maternal. To catch the nearest way is a sort of euphemism for getting to the kingship as quickly as possible, i.e. getting rid of the king, killing him. So she's like, perhaps Macbeth is too good to be able to do this. Another very revealing quotation is this little one here, where she says, "Hie thee hither." That means get here quickly, like come back to the castle, "that I may pour my spirits in thine ear and chastise with the valour of my tongue all that impedes thee from the golden round." So it's another metaphor here. And there's a little bit of personification running through as well. So pouring my spirits is a metaphor for her words. She's like, I want to pour my spirits into your ear. I want you to listen to everything I have to say. And then she personifies her tongue, saying that it's brave. The valor of my tongue. So she's saying, I will be able to get you to rise up and do everything that needs to be done. Shakespeare's also being quite sneaky here. This is called intertextuality, because this notion of pouring spirits in thine ear to a Jacobean audience would be quite reminiscent of other things that they have watched. For example, in Othello, they use this metaphor of poison in the ear. In Hamlet, someone is killed by putting poison into the ear. So there's this little hint that actually what Lady Macbeth's words will be a kind of darkness, maybe the equivalent of poison. So very, very symbolic, because some people read Lady Macbeth as the corrupting force of Macbeth. I'm not sure how much I agree, but it is there. Okay, now let's have a little look at this chunky monkey of a passage where she calls upon these spirits, as I said. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to point out, just like with Macbeth, is that we have these imperative sentences, this imperative language where she orders and commands the spirits, almost suggesting that she is of elevated status, just like Macbeth and the Stars and Macbeth and the Witches. Also perhaps showing a little bit of her desperation here. So she says, "Come, you spirits, unsex me here. Fill me from the crown." So all imperative statements. From the crown to the top to the toe, full of direst cruelty. We've got a little bit of alliteration there, creating quite a harsh sound. Now, if we look at just the quality of the language here, it's so emotive. When she says, "Come to my women's breasts and take my milk for gall." Okay, she's talking about her breast milk. It's one of our little reminders that Lady Macbeth and Macbeth have had a son or a child, we don't know the sex of the baby, and lost it. They've obviously actually had a baby for a period of time who has died, because Lady Macbeth has breast milk, and later on she talks about the notion of breastfeeding. So that's a kind of quiet thing in the background to keep in our mind. Gall is like poison and bile. So she's saying, take away the things that are life-giving and make them poisonous, make them bitter. Wherever in your sightless substance you wait on nature's mischief. So that's just referring to the spirits themselves. Okay, she then calls on thick night. Really lovely metaphor there. The idea of the concept of night itself being textured, being thick, being claustrophobic. Pour thee in the dunnest smoke of hell. So she wants darkness to kind of envelop her, so that her keen knife doesn't see the wound it makes, and heaven can't call out and say, "Hold, hold." So what's really important here, a little bit of personification there with heaven peeping out. What's really important here is not just the fact that this language is really dark. Yeah, okay, it makes her sound evil. It makes her sound supernatural. It makes her sound in line with the witches. But if you look closely, she's asking for her blood to be thickened to stop the passage of remorse. She's saying, I need you to make my blood thick so that no remorse can get through. She's saying, I need you to take away my maternal instincts. I need you to unsex me. I make me less feminine. I need you to make things dark so that I won't be able to see. When she says my keen knife, she means her. So actually, the straightforward message is, oh, isn't Lady Macbeth evil? A slightly more subtle message is, oh, Lady Macbeth is willing to do a lot of dark things for Macbeth, but her actual natural state is maternal, is feminine, is motherly, is remorseful. And I think that makes more sense when you look at her later behaviours. Okay, a quote from later on in the text. Macbeth has already arrived, right? Macbeth appears. Lady Macbeth is like, right, let's get to action. Duncan is not leaving this castle. Macbeth's like, what? And she's just like, nope, just leave it with me. I'm going to get this sorted. But she does give Macbeth some pretty important advice. She says, to beguile the time, so to kind of get us through this period of time, look like the time. Bear welcome in your eye, your hand, your tongue. Look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it. So we've got some personification. Okay, bear welcome in your eye, your hand, your tongue. So make your eyes welcoming, your hands, your tongue, what you're saying. We've got a triad there, eye, hand, tongue. So all of the things that make up his kind of character around Duncan, the way he looks at him, the way he behaves, and the way he speaks. And then we've got this wonderful simile. Look like the innocent flower. Notice the way that the flower is also personified, but be the serpent under it. So we've got a simile layered with a metaphor. Look like a flower, be the serpent. So nice imperative language there. Lady Macbeth is in control. But we might want to think to ourselves, why a serpent? Is this biblical allusion? Are we harking back to Adam and Eve and the kind of temptation? Is this about being like a tempter, like a devil? So really, really powerful instructions here that again tie into the idea of appearances versus reality, fair is foul. The innocent flower, fair, be the serpent, foul. So again, that motif coming back to us. Okay. Okay, last final thoughts. Themes have been introduced to us in this scene. So we've got relationships, so the powerful, loving, trusting relationship between Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. He confides in her thoughts that are treasonous, so there has to be a really fantastic foundation there for him to be able to do that. Power and control. Okay, we see a dynamic that is unusual for a Jacobean audience, where the wife is very much taking control of the situation and being in charge and telling her husband what to do. So contextually, this takes us into the idea of gender stereotypes. It's breaking a mold, and we might like to think about why Shakespeare's doing that. Is it about saying, ooh, what a horrible, dark, sinister woman? Or is it about saying, actually, no, women have voices too? Because Macbeth loves her. It doesn't matter how forceful or in charge she is. And then the good old good versus evil here, which I think is summed up so brilliantly in that last simile and metaphor that we looked at, the idea of the innocence and the flower, something very natural, very wholesome, and then something dark and deceptive and secretive lying underneath, the good on the surface, the evil behind. That's it from me. I hope that was helpful. As always, any questions, pop them in the comments. I will respond. If there's anything that you'd like me to cover, any other topics, please just let me know in the comments and I will do my best. Please subscribe if you haven't already and check out more of my videos on Macbeth. Thank you so much. Happy revising.